Konnichiwa, hello, and welcome. This is Roy at Ninjazola90, and today I will be reviewing my very first S.H.MonsterArts figure I ever owned, I ever bought with my own money, back when I was working, when I had a part-time job bussing tables, and that is the S.H.MonsterArts Godzilla King of the Monsters Godzilla 2019 figure, and I got some things to say about it. So, with that said, let's get on with this review. And now here we have the S.H.MonsterArts Godzilla King of the Monsters Godzilla 2019 figure right here before us in all of his King of the Monsters super cool, awesome, fearsome, atomic glory. As you can see, this is a really awesome, well sculpted, well detailed figure, sculpted by the world famous S.H.MonsterArts sculptor, the man, the myth, the legend. We all know him by name, Yuji Sakai, of course. This figure comes with two accessories. Technically, the swappable jaw piece for the heat ray breath effect part for when he's to recreate the scene where he's rising out of the water when Dr. Serizawa sacrificed himself to revive him with the atomic bomb. And we have the heat ray breath effect part that he also comes with, and this is also compatible with a Tamashii Nation stand, which I will be getting into later on in the video. But however, I don't think I'm going to be swapping out the jaw pieces because it's kind of difficult to swap out on this one without heating up. So yeah, that's just going to take up too much time. So I'll just get right on into reviewing the figure in detail and articulation, starting with the upper body portion of the figure, working my way down to the lower body portion of the figure, and then getting in more in depth with accessories and so on and so forth. So with that said, let's get started. And now, starting things off with the upper body portion of the figure. As you can see, this figure is well sculpted and well detailed. You can see all the finer details in his body. You can see the sharp sculpting on the scales and in the dorsal spines as well when we look at his back. Of course, the 2019 dorsal spines are modeled to be similar in shape to that of the 1954 dorsal spines on the original Godzilla, of course. This one is not entirely 100% movie accurate, but I mean, it's still good for what it is, and it's still well detailed, judging by the looks of it, and for it also being S.H.MonsterArts. Now, if we do take a closer look, a lot of people criticize the S.H.MonsterArts Legendary Godzillas for not having the gills on the neck like the Legendary Godzilla should, but actually, if you do take a closer look, they actually are there. They're just harder to see because of the way the neck is sculpted for the articulation. You see right there? And how it goes to the upper neck. That is the gills. You can see them, but they're just really, really small. See right there? They are there. You just have to look really, really good. But yeah. But in some areas you barely see them. So I mean, but they are there. But it's just they're just so small in the S.H.MonsterArts versions. It's almost like they're non-existent on these figures, but they are there. But anyway, going over more details with the head area, we get to see the eyes are really well painted. We have the yellow in the eyes, in the pupil, in the black pupil. So you have those yellow eyes. Let me look at the eyes again. Is it this pupil is in the center, and yeah, this pupil is looking up slightly. So yeah, I just noticed that. Yeah, mine is sort of googly eyed. So that is a common mishap that a lot of people get on their S.H.MonsterArts figures, is the pupils on their eyes are not exactly symmetrical, and that is the first time I've noticed that with this one in all the years I've been having this since I got it way back in 2019. But anyway, head articulation, we can look all the way up, of course, so we can look up about that much. We can look down, well, down a little bit, not so much. We can look right, well, actually left, because S.H.MonsterArts is labeled from back to front, so this would be left. But yeah, we all know it as right, basically. And we can go left, which would be his right. And we can rotate the head independently from the neck, so we can swivel that all the way around if we want to, although optional. The shoulders are on ball joints, although we can't really bring them out too much because they're hindered by the sculpt. We can rotate them a full 360 like so. Same is true with the other arm, although do be careful because it's hindered by the sculpt. Yeah, it is really stiff. If you notice, we do have a double hinge elbow joint, so we can bend them forward and back like so, and we can rotate them all the way around a full 360 on a swivel. Same is true with the other arm, so bend it forward and back, swivel all the way around like so. So we do have that. We also can swivel the wrist independently as well, so we can swivel the wrist on those forearms all the way around if we choose to. And of course, this is the original S.H.MonsterArts Godzilla 2019, so we do not have any hinge joints on the wrist. All we have is ball joints, so we can just swivel the hands all the way around like so, and rock them forward and back slightly. So we can't really bend them too much. Like I said, the original 2019 does not have any hinge joints in the wrist, so that's kind of unfortunate. As far as the mouth jaw articulation, the mouth can open. We can see all those finer details inside of the mouth. We have the very red fleshy membrane right there on the side of his mouth. You can see all the finer realistic looking details on the inside of his mouth. We can see how, all his like little veins in his tongue and everything is painted. So yeah, a lot of detail and craftsmanship goes into making these figures. That's why they are so expensive. But like I said, I am definitely cutting back on S.H.MonsterArts collecting due to the expensive price tags and the declining quality control. So that's kind of one of the reasons. But High Toys Exquisite Basics, I will definitely collect more of those. Although I am, like most of you are noticing, hunting down Power Rangers Lightning Collection figures right now. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to collect Godzilla anymore, because I'm going to. I'm just looking toward getting High Toys figures. Although, like I said, I am looking into getting into the Super 7 Ultimate as well, now that SH is cut out. But anyway, I apologize, I accidentally hit my camera. But anyway, with that said, I will now be getting into detail and articulation with the lower body portion of the figure, and getting more in depth with that. So let's get started. And now, getting things started with the lower body portion of the figure. As you can see, the hips and the legs and the knees and the feet are well sculpted. We can see all those sharper, finer details. As you can see, this one has a very flat belly. Unlike most, like some of the 90s versions of Godzilla, this one also has good articulation in the hips. The legs can spread out about that much, not too much, because the hips collide with one another inside the figure, because S.H.MonsterArts figures have sort of this inner skeletal, inner frame, sort of, where all the joints connect. So that's why these figures are very hollow, other than that. And also we do have some good hip articulation. So on the ball joints, like I said, we can kick forward about that much and back down. Same is true with the other leg and back down. We can also swivel them a full 360 if we want to, and the opposite way as well. Same is true with the other leg, and we can also swivel it the opposite way, although do be careful. We have a double joint hinge in the knees, so we can bend forward and back like so. Same is true with the other side, and that's that. We also have a ball joint in the ankle, so we can rock those feet forward and back, and we can rotate them all the way around a full 360. So I'm only going to demonstrate that with well, it popped out, so 1 foot, but anyway, hopefully I can get that foot back in. So yeah, I got it, thankfully. So yeah, I'm not going to be swiveling the feet too much because they tend to pop out too easily. So I'm just going to show you how they can point forward and back and rock side to side. So yeah, I'm not going to be swiveling them all the way around. So that's about it. So yeah, tail articulation, the tail, I'm gonna go ahead and go out on a limb and say the tail articulation with the S.H.MonsterArts Legendary Godzillas, the 2019 up to the 2024 Godzilla X-Call. I'm talking about the pre-evolved version, not the evolved version. Tail articulation could be a lot better, but it is doable. So we can move about that far this way. We can move about that far the opposite way. We can move up a little bit and about that much. But the big problem with the tail, if you do move it a lot, as you just witnessed, this one has a very bad case of the booty drop. So yeah, you move that tail too much, his butt practically falls off. So that is not good. So yeah, this one unfortunately can't do too much Buddha shaking, because yeah, it's practically gonna shake his butt off if it does. So let's put that tail back on, if it goes back on. So obviously we're having some problems, as you are witnessing, but I'm going to try my best to get this tail back in on camera. Alrighty. Stay. Alright, got it. By the grace of God, I got it. But anyway, yeah, that pretty much concludes it for tail articulation. I mean, and the lower body portion of the figure. So now let's move on to the upper body portion of the figure and get more in depth with accessories, and then wrap up this review with the final verdict. So let's get to it. And now getting more in depth with accessories. Of course, like I said, he does come with the swappable jaw, but I'm not going to do that. I already had enough problems finagling with the feet that was popping off, so I don't think I'll be getting into this right now. But I will demonstrate how the heat ray breath effect part works with them, because I don't need to use this, because I will be demonstrating with a handy dandy Tamashii Nation stand right here. So what you want to do is take this piece right here and plug it into this peg hole on the stand, and what you want to do is find a little peg hole socket at the bottom of the heat ray breath effect part, and we want to place that on here, and we want to line it up with the open mouth and bring it forward like so. Alright, let's kind of like this, put it, yeah, this one's kind of loose on the stand, I don't know why. This one just, I don't know. And there you have it. It works. You can use a Tamashii Nation stand with this, and it's perfectly and totally doable, as you are seeing. So yeah, you can totally use these. But yeah, like I said, for some reason, might because the socket got stretched out. I don't know, but I will show you guys how loosey goosey this one got on the stand. So let me move this. So yeah, so we can. Yeah, that's how loose this is. I could technically play with this like a fidget spinner. It's so loose for some reason, but I don't know how that got like that, but it is. But anyway, I'm gonna show you some more poses you can put this in, like a swimming pose. So I'm gonna demonstrate that. So what you want to do is put his arms back like this. You kind of want to bring his legs back and bend his feet, and then put the tail down like so. And so yeah, we can get a sort of kind of cool swimming pose out of this if we want to, and then put him back down. And of course this one also has a really good ab crunch as well, because we can look down about that much and then back up about that much. Also, quick warning, like I said, do be careful with the dorsal spines. They are a bit pointy, especially this top one right here. Yeah, that actually hurts. So yeah, I don't know if you can see that on camera, but yeah, that is definitely a deep mark. So I'm just showing you, these can be dangerous for children, so keep these figures away from small children, please, and don't rub your hands on the dorsal spines too much. Of course, the dorsal spines on this one are not as sharp as they are on the S.H.MonsterArts Godzilla Evolved figure, but they can be somewhat dangerous, especially this one. So I just put that out there for everyone's personal safety and for the personal safety of children if they ever want to get their hands on these figures. But like I said, I do not recommend S.H.MonsterArts for your kids, due to the fact that they can come to pieces real easy, and they do have some sharp parts to them, so that is something to be aware of. But anyway, just getting a look at more detail on this figure. I would say like his skin color is kind of more like alligator, like crocodile like, because of kind of like it's like this like charcoal gray, sort of like really like dark greenish like amphibian color, kind of like this reptile color. Well, amphibians are frogs, and kind of more like semi-aquatic reptiles, because that's kind of what Godzilla is. So I can see why like his skin color is sort of like alligator like. I know all about what alligators look like. I live way down in the Louisiana swamp, so it's not like I haven't seen those before. But that's one of the reasons why I don't go swimming in the lake where I live, and I live like a mile from a lake, and I don't go swim. I don't go in there because I don't want to go swimming with something that can eat me alive, technically. But anyway, hope you guys all enjoyed this review. I will now be getting into my final verdict and giving you guys my final thoughts and opinions, and giving this figure a final score based on detail, articulation, and playability. So let's get to it. And now for my final verdict on the S.H.MonsterArts Godzilla King of the Monsters Godzilla 2019 figure here. If I have to give this one a final score based on detail, articulation, and playability, I have to give it a drum roll, please. A very fair but square, well-deserved 3.4 stars. Why? Although I think this is a really good figure, has good detail, has good articulation, although it's not 100% movie accurate, and it does have some major QC issues with the tail and like popping off really easily. And of course, let me get this back on. And of course, as you guys noticed, when I was going over the lower body portion of the figure, how the feet tends to pop off real easily if you move them too much. So I definitely got to take points off for that. But Other than that, I think this is a good figure, although not a figure I could recommend for everybody. That's why I gave it 3.4, which is not necessarily the lowest score I can give a figure, but I mean it's not necessarily the highest. That means this is a good figure only if you are a hardcore Godzilla fan and likes collecting highly articulated, highly posable figures. If you like to, figures that you could put in different poses, maybe display on your shelf, do figure photography or stop motion, this is the figure for you. But if you're like mainly like a casual fan and like Godzilla's not like your biggest, one of like your biggest interests, um, and you are looking for collectibles, just maybe like to have a few pieces of merch from the franchise, and maybe like have a good articulated posable figure, this may not be the figure for you on that end of the spectrum, because this one does pop to pieces like really easily. If you want a legendary Godzilla 2019 figure that holds together better, that's very similar to this one, I would suggest going for the Hiya Toys version, because I have that one, and I would have to say, and I would just go out on a limb and and just give you the hard truth, and I'm just going to tell it to you. The Hiya Toys version of this figure is entirely leagues better for less money. It's number one, it's movie accurate. Number two, it does not pop apart nearly as much. The only thing it doesn't have is biceps levels that this one kind of sort of has, but other than that, like you're just getting a much better deal out of it entirely. But like I did pay like $60 for this one back in the day on eBay, and that's practically the same you're going to pay for a Hiya Toys Exquisite Basic figure now. But yeah, like S.H.MonsterArts figures, they did go up in price a little bit, not too much, but and this one I would probably assume did go up in price. Yeah, I've seen it on eBay. This one like 100 or more, because it's not at retail anymore. But like I said, like even if you are a hardcore Godzilla fan, like that's looking for a good posable, highly detailed figure that looks more realistic, that doesn't look like toy-like the Playmates figures, I would recommend Hiya Toys over this one. But I'm not saying that this is a bad figure by any means. It's certainly not, but it's certainly not the best figure you can get either. So that's something like you can just keep in mind, when collecting and trying to figure out which figures you feel is worth your money and which ones you feel like you're better off passing on. So that's mainly what it comes down to. But anyway, guys, if you like what you see, like and subscribe if you haven't already, because it really helps out this channel. Thank you guys all so much for watching, if you made it this far into the video to this point. And as always, love you guys, love you all. I appreciate your engagement. Stay safe, take care, God bless, stay powered up, and peace out.